Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So I'm gonna solve a previous exam so that we can practice for EC 30. So let's start. So we're gonna define a function. So we're gonna start with problem 1. Now problem 1 asks us to define a function that takes a list L and evaluates the average and the standard deviation given by the formulas we know. And we also need to raise an error if it is empty. So what we should do is define a function statistics of L, and if the list is empty, we can check that by checking if the length is 0. What we could do is raise the value error empty. Now else we need to compute the average and the standard deviation, so let's just initialize them to 0, then loop over the list. For every entry in the list we can accumulate average, and that way it evaluates the sum. So all we need to do is just divide it by the length of the list. In second place, I need to calculate the standard deviation. Can we do it in the same for loop? No, because the standard deviation requires average. So the standard deviation can be incremented by the distance that every value takes between the average, and then at the end of the for loop I divide the standard deviation by the length of the list, so that I evaluate this, and then I need to take the square root, so I raise it to the power of 0.5, and we should probably test it. We got none. Why? Because I forgot the most important thing ever, which is to return average and standard deviation. Now we're on. Got 25.4, 17.3, 101. Yep, perfect. Let's try the error case, which is this value error empty. Perfect. Now I'm gonna do part B. Part B is considered a more difficult. It has more points and level 2. So let's do part B. So we should need to define a function remove outliers. Now this function should take a list L, a percentage P, and a value K, LPK. And what it needs to do is remove all of the elements in the list that are considered an outlier. Now how do you know if a value is an outlier? What it needs to satisfy two conditions. The first of which is it should either be in the top P% or in the bottom P%. The second of which it should differ from the average by more than K times standard deviation, where K is user entered. Okay, so let's say I have this list right here. I need to go over every element and check if it is an outlier. How do I check if it is an outlier? I need to go to 1, مثلا. I go to 1, I ask 1, are you more than, when we call remove outliers, we take P to be 34% and K to be 1.3. Are you 1.3 less than the standard deviation or 1.3 more than the standard deviation? And then I ask number 1, are you 34%, are you in the bottom 34% or in the higher 34%? If number 1 said yes and yes, then I tell number 1 that you are an outlier. Then I remove number 1 from the list. So here's what I should do. I need to loop over the list. But before I need to calculate average and standard deviation. So average and standard deviation should be set to statistics of L. I also forgot to tell you, we need to output the list sorted and an L log n time. Then what we could do is we could sort L. So we could just do L dot sort. And L dot sort would even make filtering would make calculating the rank much easier. So let's now go over the list. So for I in range of length of L, what we need to do is the following. We need to evaluate the rank of the element. Now what is the rank of the element? Say I take this list again, okay, and I sort it. Okay, now this is not sorted, but imagine in your head it is sorted. Okay, this is a sorted list. خلاص, this is a sorted list. And I ask you how many elements. So the rank is defined as in the problem statement as the number of elements less than or equal to than the element we're looking at. So for example, the rank of 11 is 1, 2, 3. Okay, now say I loop over the list using I. Okay, what is the rank of L of I? Well, here I would be 0, 1, 2, 3. And how many elements are less than 11? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So I is the rank of L of I. Now this is a good equation because, or equal, because I could use it to evaluate this. Okay. Now I need to evaluate A and B. What I'm gonna call A and B to be P over 100 times N, and P and 1 minus P over 100 times N. So A equals N times, well, there's no N, there's length of L times P over 100, and B to be length of L times 1 minus P over 100. Now I need to check for the outlier condition. Now if I check if to check if an outlier, both these have to hold true. Okay, if I, because we said the rank is just I, if I is less than or equal to A, or I is more than or equal to B, and the absolute value of x minus L of I, there's no x, L of I minus the average is more than k times the standard deviation, then you are an outlier. But I put an element in A, so what I'm gonna do to filter out all of those outliers, I'm gonna construct an element as a list A that it includes every element which is not an outlier. So if you're not, what I do, A dot append of L of I. Now I'm getting an error because I wanted to initialize A to be the empty list. Now I'm gonna test. Okay, come in. I did the most important mistake again, which is return A. I forgot to put the return A. Now let's run. 35.240, 89.622 minus 13.13.1 up until 131. Yeah, it looks about right.